Our focus story in this bulletin amidst the outrage over the three controversial comments by Trinamool Congress MP Tapas Pal while he has been hospitalized in Kolkata. Pal, who complained of back pain, was admitted to Bellevue in Kolkata last evening. Meanwhile, All India Democratic Women's Association members are protesting that Pal be removed from the parliament as an MP seat and are protesting outside the parliament, demanding Pal be removed from the parliament with immediate effect for threatening rape against the wives of his political opponents. I'd like to cut across at this point of time. Manogya Lohewal joins us from Kolkata. Manogya, can you get us the very latest? It seems the TMC MP on the first day of the parliament budget session has called in sick.
Well, absolutely. You could call it a timely arrangement with the hospital or a timely sickness that he has gathered suddenly when on the day when there has been enough furor in the parliament over his comments, he is there lying in the Kolkata hospital in Bellevue clinic. The reality is that even though it is a genuine complaint, the way it has come at a time when the debates and the arguments over his comments are at the peak, and the fact that the hospital has said that he is being treated for a backache for which he has been admitted into the hospital. But why today is something that remains to be intriguing, and also the fact that the leader has, however, taken permission from his party that he is now being hospitalized in Kolkata. He should have been in Delhi yesterday to attend this monsoon session the business session of the parliament this time, but that did not happen, and perhaps that's where the question lies on why this kind of gesture from the TMC MP. Is he trying to evade the questions? Is he trying to avoid the kind of thought we've seen in the parliament, or is he trying to just stay away from the parliament, or being a little embarrassed for the statements that he's made?
Well, genuine ailment or not, Mr. Tapas Pal has escaped the furor of these women who've been protesting outside the parliament, asking him to be removed with immediacy as an MP in parliament. And of course, the issue would have definitely been brought up on the floor of the parliament itself. I'd like to cut across to my colleague Kamaljit Sandhu, who's joining us over these protests which have been taking place outside the parliament. Kamal, the MP in question, of course, calling in sick back home in Kolkata, admitted to a hospital. But outside the parliament, these women holding fort, asking him to be removed with immediate effect.
Well, definitely he seems to be on the wrong side of women protesters, especially they feel that he's humiliated women, the sort of words that he has used about raping and molesting women of the opposition parties, that hasn't gone down well at all, not even in West Bengal, not in Delhi. But obviously there have been political parties who earlier asked for his resignation, but remember, that has not happened so far. But before it fades away from the public memory, obviously women's groups in huge numbers are coming out and protesting outside the parliament. But is it that TMC who has earlier raised issues on women's topic, has developed thick skin? We'll really have to see whether there is some sort of reaction. It seems that stepping aside doesn't seem to be one of the options Tapas Pal has. He obviously seems to be taking the footpath towards the hospital and obviously saying that he's not been keeping well, while he knows there seems to be a lot of uproar about his own comments on women's safety.
What was also expected, Kamal, of course, these were uproarious scenes which were seen outside the parliament, protests by the All Indian Democratic Women's Association, the members, of course, being rounded up by the women policemen there. But what was expected, Kamal, was also uproar on the floor of the House. Many MPs were going to be picking up this issue today.
Well, definitely so. We do expect in the later part of the day that this issue is raised. But remember, there is this issue of leader of opposition as well as price rise.
Okay.
Which has obviously taken
Kamal, I'm afraid I'll need to come in. I'll need to come in. Just stay on with us. We have Mr. Mohammed Salim from the CPM with us. Mr. Salim, it could be a genuine ailment or not, but the timing perfect. TMC MP Mr. Tapas Pal has called in sick and not in the parliament today.
Had he been sick, I would have expected him to quick recovery, and I wish him. But this is an expected line, because Mamata Banerjee asked him not to attend parliament to avoid embarrassment. And secondly, it's the perfect line of Mamata Banerjee, because last time, several years we have seen whenever she is going to face embarrassment, she used to go and admit herself in the known hospital and nursing home under the known doctors, now who has been awarded also. So this is advice of the Trinamool Congress Supremo And this is perfectly following the Trinamool Congress dictate, because Mamata Banerjee is not opposing what Tapas has said. She is not condemning that, but she is advising how to avoid embarrassment.
Mr. Salim, do you think Mr. Tapas Pal is faking his illness in order to avoid the embarrassment? Case in example on what we are witnessing on our television screens, the women from All India Democratic Women's Association protesting outside Parliament.
Yes, perfectly, because for the last 10 years we have seen this. Mamata Banerjee herself the same thing. And she advised in a Bengal newspaper already reported day before yesterday that she has advised so that he can get admitted in the hospital. So this is in that, not only under the doctor's advice, but the super doctor Mamata Banerjee's advice. But my first question is, why you say something that you cannot face the people and the parliament? Rather, instead of saying that Mamata Banerjee is saying that, you say those things, you continue with that activity, and then you don't face the parliament. This is unfortunate. But this is a development.
Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Mohammad Salih from the CPI, stating that Mr. Tapas Pal is doing nothing but faking his illness, following examples laid by none other than Ms. Mamata Banerjee herself. On the phone line with us at this point of time is Ms. Kavita Krishnan, Secretary AIPWN, Politburo Member CPIML. Ms. Krishnan, what do you make of this sudden bout of illness or a backache that Mr. Tapas Pal has acquired on the day that he was to attend Parliament?
I'm sure he knew that there'll be a lot of media attention, and he didn't want to, be a part of that. And I think the really substantial question here is that it's such a shame that after the kinds of things which we have heard, not just the open rape threat, but the threats to open threats to murder, open threats to rape. These are incitement. These are not simply slips of the tongue or what Derek O'Brien from the TMC calls shooting off the mouth. These are actual threats, and not just threats. They are inciting mobs to go and shoot and kill and rape people. So I think, and people for being left supporters there. So it's an incitement for political violence. I think that how can such a person be a member of parliament? And unfortunately, Tapas Pal is one example. Sanjeev Balian, who is the central minister now, is another example. Absolutely identical in Muzaffarnagar. He is also. Now, the BJP's response in the Balian case is that there is no video over there. Well, naturally not. Even in the Tapas Pal case, TMC is now actually trying to penalize the young man, a TMC supporter, who actually made the video footage available of this atrocious speech.
Ms. Krishnan, Kavita, who takes responsibility at this point of time? Mr. Tapas Pal, as we've known, is a repeat offender. Do you reckon people like Mr. Derek O'Brien, who speak for the party, should maybe also bear some responsibility before they say that these are personal views of a leader, when Mr. Tapas Pal said that in a very public platform where he was talking for the party?
The entire party, TMC, must actually bear responsibility for the very reason that these are not just empty speeches. There is actual political violence that the TMC and its goons are actually unleashing in West Bengal today. And in answer to that, the TMC's only answer is, oh, the previous government has also been violent. That is not an answer. There is no equivalency. One wrong does not correct another wrong. So I think that certainly the TMC and its government in West Bengal bears responsibility. I will also say that the Speaker of Parliament bears responsibility, because I think that persons accused of this kind of incitement to violence that has resulted in horrendous loss of life and rapes of women, be it in West Bengal now, be it in Muzaffarnagar, I think that such MPs should not be allowed inside Parliament. Absolutely.
All right, appreciate you joining us. Kavita Krishnan there, giving her perspective on how Mr. Tapas Pal needs to be removed with immediate effect from the Parliament, and the onus also lies on none else but the Speaker of the House.